Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Facilitate the Culture. We have a name. On the first episode, I talked to you guys about my time as a player. Today, I want to talk to you about my time as a coach. But I want you to take some things from my time as a player. I want you guys to really take the time to find yourself, find your identity. All right? Like I said, I never played AAU basketball. I didn't have a trainer. There wasn't any trainers to my knowledge when I was growing up. Right? I didn't know how to facilitate as far as recruitment. I didn't know anything about the recruitment process. Now we're in the day of information. I want you guys to take the information and really apply it to your lives, to your careers. But also know that you don't have to have it all figured out. But what you do have to do is that you have to be intentional, right? I didn't have it all figured out, but I was intentional. I knew that I wanted to play at the collegiate level. And I was able to obtain 2 full ride scholarships as a player who never played AAU basketball. So I feel like I achieved a lot. A lot of you guys think about junior college and you guys don't want to play junior college and you guys feel like it's the end of the road if you guys don't play Division I basketball. And that's just not the truth. Like I said previously, you could go to NAIA and you could be an All-American. And then you can get many deals out of that. Some girls in NAIA may be better than some of the girls Division I. You never know until you compete. All right, so my journey as a coach, I honestly had no intentions on being a basketball coach. It was when I was talking to a friend, we were actually just on a car ride, and she had got a new coaching position at a new high school and was looking for some assistant coaches. And I was like, you know what? If you need help, I'll help you out. All right. So me offering to help her out was, I was thinking to myself, what did I get myself into? Probably thinking that she wasn't going to need me, but she did. And the reason why she did is because if you know how much high school coaches get paid, then you know why it's a lot of bad coaching going on. So, unlike when I was in high school and there was hundreds of kids in the gym trying out, we were actually bribing kids to come play. We was doing pizza parties, going out, giving out snacks and candy during lunch, trying to get kids to come out and play. So I coached the lower level team, and lower level teams now are not as significantly good as we were, right? Like I talked about how competitive lower level teams were when I played. Today, like I said, we're out there searching for kids to play. So you can just imagine how uncompetitive they are, right? Or lack of skill, lack of basketball IQ, lack of basketball knowledge in general. So that's what we had to go through, or I had to go through as a lower level coach, is really having to build those players up. I'm talking about players who have never touched the basketball before. Or if they touched the basketball, it was literally throwing somebody else's ball. And I took pride in it, to be honest with you. Like, I loved every second of it and I didn't realize how much I was into skill development. And I think that goes back to like how I had to coach myself up, right? How I had to teach myself the game, how to get out there and train myself. So I took that as a challenge. Like I said, I love everything to be a challenge. So teaching those kids, and some of them will be on here. Like I said, they never touched the ball before. And they taught me a lot about myself. They taught me how to really be patient, how to learn patience, right? Something that I've always struggled with. And how to mentor, right? How to mentor a group of young kids with as I'm still developing as a young adult, right? So shout out to them, one. And we had, to me, phenomenal seasons, right? And I say that because we competed against some girls that we should not have competed against. We won games that we shouldn't have won. We've had, I've had kids hit game winners that never played basketball prior to that year. And from when I got them to when they left me, they were completely different players. So I just shout out to them. Now we go into, me training. That was my first year coaching. While I was coaching, I was also playing. And I maybe we call it a semi-pro league. I don't know what you want to call it. I just know I was getting paid, so I don't call it a semi-pro, but whatever. So during that time, I was using the gym to train myself, working out. And there was a travel ball team in there. And like I said, I was a part of a program that wasn't known for athletics and basketball. The athletic director, strictly by the books, he didn't care about winning, he cared about the rules. So our head coach, she didn't really care about rules in life in general. She doesn't care about rules. She's a rule breaker, right? As far as coaching, people want to win, so they do whatever. People recruit all the time. So she wanted to recruit this kid, and because I was training myself, I'm assuming that a lot of the parents would ask, like, who's that? Whatever. So she, we would talk to this kid's parents. We would host like clinics and stuff at the gym or camps at the gym. And she told this parent that I would train the kid. Right? So the kid came for training, and I don't do anything for free. I might do a couple scholarships now that I have developed my business, but like I said, we barely making ends meet when we talk about coaching. We're dedicating a lot of time to be getting stipends. So I can't afford to do things for free. I'm gonna be honest with you. Nobody can really look at the economy. Nobody can really afford to do things for free. So parents, when it comes to these trainers, stop asking them to do things for free or for super cheap, right? Some people will work with you. I'll work with you, but realistically, it's hard to even work with y'all. So I could not train this kid for free, so I turned it into a business. This kid ended up bringing their friends, their teammates, and the business ended up growing. Now I'm at this school for maybe 2-3 seasons. And, my goal is always to win. Always to win. Always to win. My goal in high school is to win a championship. My goal at the coaching level is to win a championship. I think that if you play for me and your goal is not to win, then you're doing a disservice to yourself and to me because I'm a winner. And I want you to hopefully go off and play at the next level. And I always ask my kids, what do you want? And what you say you want needs to match your work ethic. So if you say you want to go, some of you guys say you want to go to the WNBA. And we know that those spots are very limited. So if you want to go to the WNBA, you better be working harder than anybody I know. And I know kids that get up at 5 a.m. to go work. So if you're not working 5 a.m. 2 times a day in the summer, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't. It just doesn't match, right? The consistency doesn't match. The work ethic doesn't match. So I'm also a person who I will not jeopardize my morals, my integrity, my code for anybody, my reputation for anybody. So I coached there for about 2 to 3 years, and the coach is a rule breaker. I said this before. And I will not be put in a position where I lose what I've worked for, what I'm working towards. Now you got me coaching. Now I'm working towards, being the best coach that I can be. I'm not going to jeopardize that because you're a rule breaker and you have no ethic or moral code, right? When it comes to kids, when it comes to finances, when it comes to anything. So, respectfully, I've had already been talking to the Etowanda coach who had coached me at Mount Sag about coming up there eventually. Because eventually that's my goal, to go back. I went to Etowanda. That was my goal, to go back to my alma mater and coach, like, and build the program up. So she ended up doing some crazy stuff, and y'all gonna have to wait for the book to hear about the crazy stuff. But I will address some of the crazy stuff later in the podcast, and I won't name any names, but I will go over some things that parents and players, etc., need to be cautious of and be intentional about. So, anyways, I ended up going over to Etowanda. Like I said, coaching a lower level. Like I said, high school basketball is not the high school basketball I played. So even going to Etowanda, I'm thinking I played at Etowanda lower levels. So these kids can come in and they're going to be dominating. And it wasn't that either. Some kids were good, but some kids still never played. And then, the competitiveness and the psychological part of the game was a lot different from when I played. Even though I'm at a top school, the school that I played at, and now I take a different type of pride into this because this is the school that I played at. So I have a different type of passion for this because I put on these jerseys. I walk these halls. This is my gym. That's how I think. I paved the way. So I need y'all to come in here and act like you're ready to go. And act like you're trying to get to the other court, right? And the other court being the varsity court. And if anybody knows anything about Etowanda, when you go to Etowanda, some people I'm going to Etowanda, and I play at West Coast Premier and Cal Stars and, all the top, Cal Sparks and all the top programs. And if you come into these top schools, and that's just not Etowanda, that's just in general, if you come to these top schools and you don't make varsity, or nobody's, looking for you to particularly make varsity, then you have to have a plan. You have to have a game plan for yourself. And I tell my lower level kids this all the time. If you want to get to that the court next door, you got to work hard. It's no skipping levels. There's no skipping steps. Here's the blueprint. This is what you need to do. A lot of those kids, they don't even have trainers at the lower levels. So now you're telling me you don't have a trainer, you don't work out on your own, and the trainer is important because a good trainer is going to give you certain skill sets to work on, right? Certain blueprints to work on. Your fundamentals, they're going to build your basketball IQ, and a great trainer is going to work on those mechanics. So the things that the little mechanics that you need to take you over the board, the shooting, right? Knocking down the shooting, the legs, the footwork, the movement, right? The manipulation. That's why you need a trainer. But if you don't have a trainer because for whatever reason you don't have the funds, whatever reason your parents can't get you to, the training sessions, you need to work out on your own. There's a park in every neighborhood. I used to walk around the corner from my house to the park every day after I got done with homework. So there's no excuse. But a lot of kids want things handed to them. We're in the silver spoon era. And I'm just, once I talk, I want you guys to understand, when I talk as a coach, it's going to probably be more triggering than when I talk as a player because a lot of you kids feel attacked. Like it's a personal attack. It's not personal. I've been through the same things that you went through. I just told you that I didn't go to a school because I wasn't getting any discipline to go to a school to get discipline. Right? So just a brief how I am as a coach. As a coach, I am like mild-mannered. Just how I talk right now, just how I talk as a coach. Then some coaches will be like, oh, you're too nice. You can ask my players, I'm not nice at all. just because I'm not yelling and screaming does not make me nice. I am not a rah-rah, yelling, acting crazy coach. Right? If you're on the court and we're in a game situation, you might hear me yelling and screaming. But am I just going to be yelling and screaming? No, that's not my coaching style. And I think that people think that coaches think that coaching style is productive. And like I said, during games, that coaching style may sometimes be productive. But I think it's very counterproductive. It's like, this is how I think about it. As a kid growing up, and that's how I try to coach. I look at my parenting, or not my parenting, how I was parented, and then I say, if I had kids, I would. Same thing with coaching. If I was a coach, this is how I would be. This is how I reacted to coaches, right? When coaches used to yell and fuss and act crazy, I just looked at them like they was crazy. I wasn't that player. I wasn't that player that was amused or was that motivated me. That yelling never motivated me, right? That talking crazy to me never motivated me, right? It was like the bully or like the friends who used to talk crazy to each other. And I used to be the friend that said, don't talk crazy to me. I don't play those games, right? So when coaches did that, I just tune them out, right? So you have to, as a coach, know players, psychology. And I talked about this. This is what I want these conversations to be. A psychological based influenced conversation. Because some of you coaches today think that in order to get your point across, you have to coach a certain way. But this ain't the team. These ain't the players from when we used to play. And it was counterproductive then. So it's definitely counterproductive in an era where a lot of kids, to me, are silver spoon fed, right? They don't react or respond to the tone or the temperaments that you guys have. You guys don't build positive relationships. And to me, it's about building a positive relationship. And like I said, like as a parent, or when I was a child, and my parents just, back then used to get whoopings. Now you can't even whoop kids, all right? And they say beat, so a little tap tap, right? When I used to get whooped, it used to be like whoop or punishment. I used to think about those things, right? I want a whooping or do I want punishment? If I get whooped, then I can go outside. If I get on punishment, then I have to sit in the house. Same thing with coaching, right? If you're yelling at me, I can tune that out. It is what it is. Just like if I get whooped, but I can go back outside, right? But I don't want to run a 20. I don't want to run a 17. I don't want to do a bear crawl. All that stuff that you got me doing, I don't want to do. So as a coach, that's how I discipline my kids. I say, I'm not about to be yelling and screaming and acting crazy. Oh, now everybody's scared to talk to Coach Bree because Coach Bree be yelling and screaming. Because that's what happens. You guys yell and scream, and now the relationship, you guys don't realize you guys are making a distance and a damper in the relationship between the players because the players don't really rock with you like that. Be honest with you. Some of you guys don't know that. Some of you guys think because the players are cool and they act cool with you, that they rock with you. But that's not it. You guys, we're not in that era. And even when we were in that era, it still wasn't that era. Because I was still looking at my coaches like, you weirdo, you're crazy. I don't really want to talk to you. Like, your energy is off. That's to me. I'm a high energy person. So when you act like that to me, your energy is off. I don't really want to talk to you like that. I'll deal with you because it's like a boss situation. You're like my boss. But when we're talking about a team, us coaches, we're a part of the team. So we have to build a relationship. A relationship where my point guard could come and talk to me. My center could, anybody on my team could come and have a one-on-one conversation with me about whether it's life, on the court stuff, mentorship, etc. But they can't do that if they're scared of you. Or they don't rock with you because your energy's off. So as a coach, I don't be yelling and screaming. So anybody who be thinking Coach Bree needs to be yelling and screaming at players, respectfully, don't tell me what to do. because I don't play those. I don't rock like that. Instead, I'm a player's coach, right? You got your authoritative, break them down to build them up. That used to be the thing. Break them down to build them up. All right, those coaches. And then you have me. I'm a player's coach. I talk about all of my experiences as a coach. I talk about all my experiences as a player, all my experience as a young adult. I talk about these things because I want to help mold my kids, build my kids up, help them grow. Not just on the court, but off the court as well. Because I grew a lot. I used to be a knucklehead. You would never know today that I was a knucklehead unless somebody told you. And some people didn't even, because I know how to act around adults. Some of you kids don't know how to act around adults. I know how to act around adults. So some people just didn't know I was a knucklehead anyways. So I like to be able to have conversations with my players. It's been plenty of times, and multiple players can tell you, Coach Bree used to stop. They probably used to be like, God, we stopping practice again. Sometimes the kid used to probably be like, hey, Coach Bree, you stopping to practice again? To have a conversation? Yes. Why? Because your energy is off. Why is your energy off? What happened that split today? Y'all good? Y'all straight? Because if not, we can run. So let's talk about it. We either talk about it or run. Get on the line. Which one? All right? So that's how I am as a coach. I joke with my kids, ha ha, he, you know. So I've been able to have, great relationships with my players, right? And successful. Any of my players can hit me up anytime. That's how I am as a coach. I'm not authoritative. I'm not a militant coach. I'm a player's coach. So that's my coaching style. I think my players have fun when they're coached by me. I think that they definitely know not to cross certain boundaries because I've never had any problems. That's another thing. Like people try to tell me, oh, you need to be yelling and screaming at players. I don't have problems when I don't. So why would I start yelling and screaming and being a psychological issue, right? Because you guys break these kids down and then don't build them back up, right? They say break them down and build them back up. Then you guys don't build them back up. Now you have head cases, right? Then you guys have what you guys don't realize to me when you have that method is that you break those kids down and some of those kids to me, I look at certain kids and they're sitting at end of benches and I think that they should be at front of benches, but you broke them down so bad that you literally killed their whole psyche. Some of them don't even want to play, right? They either don't want to play for you or don't want to play anymore. And I've seen that since even when I grew up. I've seen that. That's why I knew that like I said, I never thought I was going to be a coach. But when I became a coach, I said, I'm not going to have the methods that coaches took with me because even me, I was like, do I shoot this shot? Do I pass this shot? But it's like, you don't have intentions or you don't understand because maybe you never had the experience. And I think that that's important to address for me with male coaches is that, and that's what I want to do on this show too, is, bridge the gap between males, because there's a lot of males in this industry, but you're dealing with females and you're dealing with female emotions. That's why it's important to have, a well-rounded coaching staff because you're dealing with females. And I'm gonna speak. I don't want to just speak for men when I speak on this show or have this conversation. I don't want to just speak for males or females, but right now I want to speak upon the females. As if you're a male and you're coaching females, you have to coach them different, or you have to have some females on your staff who are motherly and who are relatable. Right? It's always good to have a motherly coach or a relatable coach. I feel like I'm a relatable coach. I had a friend who coached with us at Etiwanda, and I felt like she was more motherly and, and more of an empath, even though I'm an empath as well. But she just, was a great mentor. And you need that. You need somebody, when the girls are going through the menstruals to be like, what's going on? oh, I'm going through some hormones, or oh, something's going on at the house. Oh, okay, let's talk about it, right? And that's another thing is that once you get to know your players, and as a coach, what I've got to learn is that these kids go through so much, right? So much. And some of them don't ever speak to their coaches about it because they're not comfortable. Some of them speak to their coaches and their coaches throw it back in their face. All right, just like their friends, or they don't want nobody to tell. They don't want the coach to go tell somebody else. All right, want to keep it anonymous. But as a coach, I've encountered many situations, and I think that's why it's molded me to the person who I am today, and being intentional and just being an empath and relatable and being somebody who I want my coaches to all or my players to always be able to come and talk to, because you never know what's going on. All right. It might be abandonment at their house. It might be depression. Some of these kids might be suicidal. You never know. We're in a new day and age, right? So we have to treat it accordingly, because we're talking about an era where mental health is at the peak, right? Everybody talks about mental health, whether you agree that people are having mental health issues or you don't. You have to be aware of people's situations at home, because some of these kids, every kid does not come from a stable environment or an ideal environment. So you have to treat it as such. And I've coached kids who've had a lot going on at home and they come to practice, and sometimes you can tell, sometimes you can't. But once you get on that floor and it's game time, they always on go. And I appreciate those kids. And I want to be able to be an outlet, right? You want to be able to be an outlet. Some of us are sisterly figures, motherly figures, fatherly figures to these kids. So be that. Be intentional with that. You have a responsibility. So further in my time at Edwanda, like I said, I had a lot of kids who were lower level, and I have these conversations because there's kids coming in, to play varsity all year, every year, right? Every year. So I tell my kids at the lower level, you have to work hard. And if you do not see yourself being at this next level over here, then you need to think about going somewhere where you can make an impact if that's your goal. But today, a lot of kids, they follow their friends around. So if their friends are at the school, they don't want to leave. Like I told you, I was going to go to A.B. Miller. It was about basketball for me. So that's where you can tell the difference of mindset, the kids that really want it, the kids that don't, or some of the kids who are not, realistic, because sometimes the parents are not realistic. The parents look at their kid like they're the best thing on the floor. And I need to address the parents on that. Be a realist. I know that you love your kids, right? But you have to be a realist. Is my kid, where should my kid be placed? And be honest with yourself, all right? Place them there. Watch the game. When your kid goes in the game, how many turnovers are they committing? Some of you guys look and say, my kid's scoring buckets. How many buckets are they being scored on? Defensively. Some of you guys don't know about rotations. I don't expect you to know about rotations because you're not the coach, but I am the coach. So some of your kids don't know the rotations, so they're getting beat, or they're not helping, or they're getting their teammates in foul trouble because they're missing their rotations. So then they get pulled out the game. And then you as a parent don't understand why your kid's getting pulled out the game. That's when I say, you don't come talk to me, but have them come talk to me. Right? That's one. Two, some of your kids, respectfully, in practice it's like you drop them off for daycare. They're disruptive to practice. I've had plenty of kids who are just destructive. Some of them just flat out bad kids. I'm going to be honest with you. They get to practice, they hoot and hollering and talking while I'm talking or while other coaches are talking. Have bad body language. They have bad chemistry with their teammates. Some of them, they be gossiping about their teammates. And me, like I said, I'm a disciplinary coach. So you're going to run every time. And I may not tell the parents all the time because I'm also a player's coach. So I'm going to discipline them. So if you want to come sit out of practice, most of us coaches say you could definitely come sit out of practice. And we encourage it. But out of all the years that I've been coaching, I have not had a parent come sit at practice to see what their kid be doing. So please, respectfully, do not come up to me after games. Some of y'all be bum rushing coaches. Why my kid not playing? First of all, I don't know where you from, but don't run up on me like that. All right. 2, most of us coaches have a rule: do not talk to us within 24 hours of a game. I don't care if it's a win or loss. Do not come and talk to me. Especially if it's a loss. Do not come and talk to me. I'm the type of coach, and I'll just be honest, I'm trying to pop them teams. So if you're a disruption in practice, some girls who are not, they might hardly play, but we might be blowing the team out and they get a lot of minutes. So you're looking like, well, why my kid not playing? You need to ask your kid about their behavior. It's usually behavior. If your kid is really not playing and y'all popping teams and other kids are getting, some coaches, they will pop a team and not let nobody off the bench. Some coaches will pop a team and start, releasing people from the bench. If your kid still is not being released from the bench, I'm going to be honest with you, it's probably their behavior. It's probably their behavior. But I think also my coaching style, and I said it before a little bit, is that I like to build skill development. So what I learned with a lot of the lower levels, like I said, even at Etowanda, is that the skill development needs to be there. So at Etowanda, I like to structure the practices where the practice still has a structure. That's I think a lot of coaches miss too, is that the structure of their practices are just, not top level. So as a coach, going back to when I played at Etowanda, I wanted to make sure that I was giving the girls everything that I can give them as a coach. Everything that I didn't get when I was in high school, I wanted to be able to give to my players as a coach. So when it came to verbiage and structure of practices, I wanted them to learn everything, right? Getting over screens, bluffing, midline, deny, help side, rotations, closeouts, rejecting the screens, right? Making a certain read, pick and roll situations, triangle offense at a JV level is, some people will say it was probably crazy. But I wanted to, if these kids said that that's what they wanted, and I knew that, I knew realistically some of them weren't going to make it there just because I knew where we were at and I knew that they weren't going to leave. I knew that they were going to stay there. So realistically, I know a lot of kids weren't going to make it to the next level. And it kind of upsets me because some of the kids could have played somewhere else, but they chose to follow behind their friends. But I wanted to structure practices in a way where the kids were building their basketball IQs and they were just learning the overall game while building skill set. So there's things that I noticed today as far as skill set that players don't have. And this goes to training. And this is how it's essential for me as a trainer to be a coach. Because to be a coach and to be a trainer is to be able to see how players play, the majority on average. Because this is how I train. I look at the average players and I go, top level, bottom level, high school, college, and watch how players play and look at their deficiencies and say, okay, this is what I need to implement into my training. So when we're at practice and I'm saying, oh, the footwork's bad. I got 11 girls. 11, it's nothing, I never carry 11. Let's say I have 9 girls. I have 9 girls and 6 of them footwork is bad. Well, we got to work on footwork. The ones that's footwork is good, we got to work on speeding up that footwork. Then maybe it's, mechanics. Okay. Now we got to work on mechanics. We got to slow it down, work on mechanics. Sometimes it's rebounding. What I've noticed is that a lot of kids at every level, rebounding is just, and I talked about how I'm a rebounder. So I find it, and I don't want to put my standards on everybody else, but why we can't rebound? Why is across the board everybody having a hard time rebounding? Boxing out. Boxing out is a lost art now. That was defense is a lost art. Post playing is a lost art. Rebounding is a lost art. Some of y'all would say mid-range shots are a lost art. Come on now. What is this? An entertainment industry. That's what it is, right? Now everybody's an NBA player. Because that's what the reflection of the levels are looking like. Is that everybody is trying to duplicate or replicate of what they're doing at the NBA level. And they can travel, so some of y'all are traveling. So I look at these things and say, this is what we need to work on. And some people don't understand and they think that, I want to work on step backs and side steps and all this extra stuff. Even the parents. Even when I structure my workouts for training, I know parents want to see the madness. But if you see the players at the top levels, DeMar DeRozan, if you look at Juju, if you look at Breanna Stewart, Jewel Lloyd, Arike Gumawale, if you look at Steph Curry, if you look at Kevin Durant, if you look at Damian Lillard, these people know how to master their spots. They have mastered their spots. Joel Embiid scored 50-something points in, I believe, what did they say, 2 spots, 3 spots? But you guys want to do all of this extra stuff to score what? Some of you score 0 points. But if you mastered your spots, 1 dribble pull up, 2 dribble pull up, you can score 20 points a game. Now, once you've mastered your spots, now you can add a little something in your bag. But you guys don't do that. You guys try to skip steps. So in practice, I make sure that we are working on these things. And this is how we've been able to be successful. I don't mind a kid. We've been up 70 points in games. Come down, shoot a 3. Some games I've said, we up that much. You only can shoot a 3. That's the type of coach I am. You only can shoot a 3 now. Or 5 dribbles. Clear out. One-on-one. Another thing that's important to me is to build my players' confidence. And the way that I do that is that I don't control them. I don't give them so much structure that they're robots. I want them to play like a robot, right? What I mean by play like a robot is be able to make the reads and stuff as quick as a robot. But I don't want them to depend so much on me that once they leave me, they're looking at the sidelines like, who's going to tell them what to do? Defensively, I'm going to do that. I'm going to rotate. Defensively, I'm going to do that. Offensively, I want you to be able to come down the floor, see what they're doing on defense, and then say, if you're a point guard, be able to say, we're running this. Right? I want you to be able to see your post player and tell the wing, clear out, we're going 2 game. That's what I want you to be able to do. I want you to be that confident in yourself and be in the floor general that you're out there and you don't need me. Right? You only need me in critical situations. And I realize that coaching now, because that's how I played. But what I see, like, when it comes to male coaches, it's like everything has to be what we're running. It's never like, as I think it's important to instill the ultimate confidence in a player, that a player can come to you and say, because I've seen this as a player. When I grew up watching like college basketball, when I was in high school, and even when I was in college, I used to see Skylar Diggins go to her coach and tell her, and be having a conversation, seeing Chris Paul having conversations with his coach, seeing Kobe Bryant having conversations with Phil Jackson and telling him what he sees, Rondo talking to Doc Rivers. I used to see that and telling them, this is what I see, coach, this is what we should do. But I used to remember being that player. This is what I see, y'all. Maybe even sometimes before the coach even says anything, maybe walking to the huddle, right? Maybe sitting on the bench before the coach even draws up a play. Remember, I told you in high school, my coach, I'm not saying he wasn't drawing the plays, but sometimes it was a lot of time to have a conversation. Hey, they're doing this, they're doing this. And all of us as a team was having input. But now today, I don't see any of that. It's always coach, 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 coach. I think that we're in a time where the skill level is something that we've never seen before. But the hunger, the basketball IQ, if those two levels were to grow, we'll see some of, when I say separate, we'll see some of, it will be no catching up. It will be no catching up. When I talk about even defensively, if I see people go back to wanting to play defense and rebounding, hunger, mental toughness, leadership. If I see those things from the players that I see now, it will be no catching up. When I say it will be no catching up to you, it will be no catching up to you. You will have set a new tone. And that's what I want to see. So when I coach, that's how I coach. Dawn Staley is a great example to me of that. And she is showing that. That's what she used to play in the era where people were skilled, but not as skilled as maybe people will say now, because they weren't training at the level that you guys are training at now. But being able to impact players and to have the relationship with players that she has, and for players to be able to do them. You see Fo Wiley out there lay with the butter doing what she wants to do. She's not handcuffed. I don't want to see none of that. Like some coaches say, I don't want to see none of that flashy stuff. That's not necessarily flashy. That's just her game. We played in an and one mixtape era. So we've seen Allen Iverson type of trick bags. So today, it's such a male-dominated industry. I don't want to get on the males like that, but it seems like you guys are trying to handcuff and control. Like the patriarchy. It definitely feels a little bit like patriarchy. You have to control the situation, and I think that's counterproductive to the relationship that you build with your players and just to the game. I think that it's important. What I've also learned as a player and a coach, or from going from player to coach, or going from high school to college, is what was most important is that you're able to, and what I wish I would have learned earlier, is that you're able to be free on the basketball court while having structure. There has to be a balance. There has to be a relationship, like I said, that you built with your players, and players are able to come down the court and have a basketball IQ of their own and not looking at the coach. Because you might go play for Dawn Staley and Donna's looking at you like, hey, it's loud in here. We in a packed out gym. I'm not, unless we have, sometimes we have cues and stuff for the plays, but sometimes I don't want you to have to look back at me. Sometimes I want you to be able to read the floor. I want you to be the best point guard. Because now we're talking about high school to college, but college to some of you guys going to the league. And at the league, you can't, it's like being a baby. That's how I feel. It's like being a baby. Going to high school and you're always looking at your coach. Then going to college, you can't always look at your coach. Right? Then going to the WNBA, you're not always going to look at your coach. You think Diana Taurasi is over there looking at coach all the time? Every time down? Think Skylar Diggins is looking at coach every time down when we running? No, absolutely not. So I think that for me, maybe I'd skip steps when it comes to this. I want my players, and I'm talking about, I've coached JV. I want my players to have full autonomy to be able to be themselves. I want them to have freedom to be who they are, because that builds confidence. And these players today lack confidence. They're so restricted, confined, in handcuffs. So, as far as player-coach relationships, I feel like that's important. And, there's always a if, there's always going to be a but, there's always going to be a situation. Right? It's always going to be situation. I know some people are going to listen to the stuff they're saying. It's going to go one ear out the other. Or it's going to be a, but. Listen. One, I'm a female. So if you're a male coach, I think that we need to do a better job of listening. Right? When we're dealing with females. Just like if I enter the male industry, I ask questions. And I listen and I watch. So I was at Etiwanda for a few years before I was able to really lock in with the varsity team. Right, I would be around in and out, but once Puff came, which is like family, that's like my little cousin. How we became so close and our bond became so close is because my friend who I went to high school with, who went to Etiwanda, she passed away, and they had family functions all the time, and I was just around the family more than I've ever been. And I seen her, growing up just hooping. And I'm like, yo, these kids don't even work out. Because now we're in like a gray area period where it used to be college coaches were recruiting out of high school. And then the high school just fell off. And then they were recruiting out of junior college. Right? That's why I pushed the junior college thing, because you just never know. So I seen her growing up, and I said, yo, she gonna be good, because she be working out. She be working out at the family functions. So when she had the opportunity to come to Etiwanda, it was just a no-brainer. I really got to be around, now been more around the varsity girls and seeing, just their level. And, prior to, it was some varsity teams there where, like I said, it's the mentality. Some of those girls were a lot different. All right. Some of these kids are just mentally a lot different. Some of them is like, some people want to be cool. Some people want to fit in. Some people are not here for basketball for real. So that 2022 year, I knew I was going to be around that team. We had Kennedy, Destiny, Puff, Deja, just a team full of girls who wanted to win. And I knew it. So we played La Jolla Country Day in November. I think October, November, before it counted for anything. And I said, we're going to win a championship. This is when they had Jada Williams, Brea, Taja, that team that they had, that solid team that they had. I said, we're about to win a championship. How did I know we was going to win a championship? We have a freshman point guard who's locked in, who doesn't she doesn't get rattled at all. She just do what she, when you got that type of player, We in crunch time. I think that game came down to crunch time. It may have. I'm not sure. We might have came down. It was games where we came down from 20. So I don't know. Let's just say in general, there were games where we were down and we came back and our point guard was like locked in. With everybody else, nobody was rattled. Everybody was, we can come back. This is nothing. And they played great together as a team. To me, Deja was a great leader. You need a team with a great leader. Deja was the type of player who didn't care if anybody liked her. It doesn't matter if anybody likes me on this team. I want to win. All right? And she might not have said that out her mouth, but she had that attitude. Keeping people in order where they're supposed to be, you know. And I love that. I love that type of leadership. Then you have Kennedy and Puff, who may not be as vocal, but they're just great players. They lead by example. They're going to defend. Kennedy's going to get you the blocks, the rebounds. She's going to do all that stuff. All the stuff that I was saying players don't do, she's going to do. She's going to get buckets. She's going to defend. She's going to rebound. All that good stuff. All right. So we ended up winning that season. Great year. Great year. Great year. Got a chance to play against, Juju and watch Juju. And we probably played her before when I think she was at Windward, but I don't recall. All right. But when she was on Sierra Canyon, she was hooping, killing. All right. A competitor. I love those games. I'm the type of coach, I like to come back from 20. My heart pumping the whole time, my adrenaline going. I like that. That's preferable for me. Right? Not being down 20, but to win the game from being down 20. Playing against top girls in the nation. I love basketball. So I'm watching it like I'm watching ESPN. Like, okay, yeah, we need to do this, we need to do that. Oh, she doing this, she going, okay. All right. And I'm just learning, I'm always going to be learning. I'm always going to be on a learning curve. But now I'm able to, be with varsity more. So I'm even on a more of a learning curve because I'm able to see, go to certain tournaments and play against, certain talents and have a team that's able to actually really compete and match up with anybody. So those are some great years. Everybody's always like, "Oh, why'd you leave? Why'd you leave?" and all that. I'm not necessarily going to get into that on here, but I will say, like I've said before, for one, I'm the type of coach who, I always want to expand my coaching. I'm always going to want to expand my coaching. If I ever leave a place, it's not always something that happened. Maybe it is, maybe it ain't. All right? But I always want to expand my coaching. Maybe I can't help y'all no more. Y'all got all the pieces y'all need. All right? I've been able to facilitate one of the greatest teams in California. Now it's time for Coach Bree to go help somebody else. All right? Other places it was. So morally, it just wasn't working out. The ship is crashing, and I'm not crashing with the ship. My reputation, when I do anything, when I'm around anybody in life, is important. So if I feel like I'm in a situation or I'm around people, whether it be, adults, kids, parents, relatives, doesn't matter. If I'm around people who, don't necessarily fit my energy or my intentions or how I move, that's in life with friends, anybody. You won't find me around them. I don't really have to owe you an explanation. And if you rock with me, I think that you know certain things about me. I don't put my reputation, I don't put myself in situations where I would be putting my reputation and everything that I built. I'm a brand. I'm my own brand. So if I feel like my brand is going to be affected by the people that I'm around, then I must remove myself from around those people. And the people who rock with me are going to respect that. Right? And I'm going to, I've coached with people and been around people, and, certain things didn't work for them. Certain people think that I like things, to be very organized and, in a particular manner. And for them, they just, going with the flow, and they don't have a plan. And that may not be me. So they might say, "No, I don't think we should work together." And that's perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with that. I just hope that people give me the same grace when things don't work for me. It was time for me to also be on my journey. So I went on a very specific journey outside of basketball, not just outside of basketball, because I was still, I was able to coach for Wasserman, help my mentor out, and I'll talk about that briefly. But I was on a very specific journey with the Creator, right? Learning about, my people, my history. And I needed that. I needed to separate. I needed to see, do I really want to coach, because, it's different. Like I said, it's different coaching kids. And each year it gets even more and more different. We went through COVID. We went through a COVID season, and the kids supposedly, the parents said it really affected them. So after COVID, the kids came back socially hysterical. That was not the same. So we were already disconnected. You have to understand, as a female basketball player, I demand a lot, but at the same time, I'm not yelling and screaming at you, but I think that I still demand a lot. My expectations are very high. So we talk about this era, some of the kids, because it's coming from me, it might affect them a little bit more than if it's coming from a male coach. So I had to, separate myself from the game as well to see, do I really want to continue coaching high school basketball? Like, these kids to me are not built like that. And I'd rather go coach some boys or some college girls who really want to win, right? And they're adults, and you don't have to deal with all of the unnecessary, parental drama that goes into my kid not playing, or why my kid not playing, or, why you tell my kid she didn't make a left hand layup, or why are you, giving my kid, constructive criticism. And once I realized that I cannot critique you as a coach, which I think, one of the definitions of a coach is to be able to critique, right? Then I probably shouldn't be coaching you or at this level anymore. But I end up coming back to the level. We'll briefly get into that. So over the summer, I really got on my journey, my spiritual journey, changed, my health journey, everything, and really just empowered myself. And I needed that. Sometimes you need that. Sometimes, that year, sometimes you need to kick back and just pour into you. And it was my time to pour into me so that I can then come back and then pour into the next group of people. So I was able to, experience something so great when I was able to work with my mentor, Olin Simplis, and shout out to him, the guard whisperer, because he just been authentic. He don't take no shortcuts, and, just being around him, I see that he's doing things his way, how he wants to do, and that's me. I want to do things my way and how I want to do them. I have my blueprint, and I don't want to compromise my integrity or my morals to be accepted in this false reality. Because that's my journey helped me realize that it's more to the life. It's more to the game than just basketball, right? And I'm not going to jeopardize who I am as a person because of basketball. Now, to end, I'm going to start ending these shows with a couple key things that I want you guys to be able to take with you. But I really want to thank you guys for watching the first 2 episodes. I promise that the next few episodes won't be so drawn out, but I want to give you guys as much game on these episodes as possible. So please, please send me any topics that you guys want me to go over. You will remain anonymous. I already have some topics that I do want to go over, so we will end up going over some of those things that I know that a lot of student athletes, parents, coaches, trainers, etc., will be able to learn from and be able to help grow the game. This is all about growing the game, and this is not about me. This is about you guys. So I also, like, you guys will be my family, right? This is like coming into my family and my team. So I appreciate you guys. Peace. And thank you for helping me help you facilitate the culture.